is either the dog's dangly doodahs or it's a pain up the bum. Right, okay, so where are we at? Let's have a look. Let's have a look then. Go live here. Okie dokie. Let's see where we're at. Just getting all the streams set up. Right, you're over this side. Hey, this is a different view for you guys. So let's have a look. There we go. Oh, hopefully not going to wobble around too much. Hello, good evening. If you're there, let me just go live on here. Let's see if we're going. Hello, sissy purrs. Right then, let's see. Okay, oh, I believe we are live. Okie dokie, we've got 3 streams on the go. Everything's working. Right, hi Alison, Michael. Oh, Kimmy Poos. Right, okay, Ruth, Deborah, Rach, hi. Now, I'm just going to check my other streams just to make sure everybody's up and running and on. So I just want to make sure that we are live here. Let's have a look. Oh, yay, I believe we are live. Okay, fabulous. Oh, maybe not. Well, there we go. Right, so we are live in Tracy Evans boutique. So there we go. I'm just going to expand that. I'm just going to bring any comments up. Perfect. Right. Well, fancy seeing you here, Diane. I've got you on the laptop. So hello. Right then, you horrible lot. Alison, hi. Sissy Poos is in the house. Megan Moo, big hugs and kisses. And whoever's watching on my stream. So today's a bit different. Today we've got my official page over here instead of Instagram. We've got YouTube above us, and to the left we have got a live stream going on in the amazing Tracy Evans boutique designs create, share and inspire page. No embossing powder is going to be used today. Hello. And today, somewhere in the ethos, we've got the lovely Eileen in the background following. So today's little bits and pieces, we are going to go off of this theme here. Neck of the wood. Oh, you're in the up me duck, isn't it, Joss? Hi, Sylv. So obviously I've done this lovely piece. And yeah, I really enjoyed doing this, to be fair. I've enjoyed it that much. I've changed my backdrop and decided to pop it on as my my back screen on my socials. Yeah, so there you go. So I used that was a Lavinia stamps. Now today, due to the fact that I've been kindly asked to join Tracy Evans' magical team and be the product design, which just means I'm going to be doing videos, basically. It's a fancy name for Lisa doing videos. But it's a fantastic team. So I am going to start using a lot more of Tracy Evans stamps, obviously, that you're going to be seeing me do. And off that bounce, I then decided to do these lovely little mice, ferns, trees, and this funky cat to pull this together on a pink version, which was the Strawberry Moon, which was just the other day. So this is in homage, if you're following, basically a Strawberry Moon. So you can do whatever colours you like. It's going to be the same concept: blue, pink, purple, green, orange, whatever. Joe, hello. Lulu, hello, my darling. Eva, hi. Hope you're well. Let's have a look. Tracy's in the house. Hi, Tracy. Hello, hello, hello. My hands are waving to thee. Diane's also in the house. So thank you so very much for joining me. So with regards to the pink card is what we're doing this evening. And I'm also going to throw in a cheeky little tag as well. These mice are so cute. So I'm going to show you what stamps I've used first of all. Now I am using Pink Frog Super Smooth 300 GSM. And I have cut down a sheet and just made it into some tags. So all I've used there is my good old trusty, I'm sure every home, every drawer's got one somewhere. It's a 3-tagging one, and I've done the 2.5 dibs, comes out, fair play, thank you, Ruth. 2.5 inches. So basically, cut your card 2.5 inches, pop it in, ka-ching, and voila, there we go. So these, they're available on so many different sites, so many different names, so many different companies. Feel free. And I'm sure if you haven't got one of these, hi Terry, then I'm quite sure that you've got something similar that will do a tag shape. If not, cut the sides off and voila, stick a hole in, it's a tag. I haven't started now. Oh, Sylvia's on the ball tonight, goodness me. So I am going to do a tag and a card. So there's 2 dibs to be called tonight if you're calling dibs. So that's the card I'm using. I'm going to put that out the way. Brushes, obviously I'm using number 7s, a grey, a black and a pink. It's as simple as that. I've got water brushes. I'm only going to use 1. Hello, Lisa. How the devil are you? And then I've got a selection of detail brushes. Detail, that's what it's all about. And I have got pan pastels, which is all crumbling up really well now because this is the last of my pan. I have got another one. And of course, I have got my bleed proof white. I've got my squirter just in case I need it. Right, stamps. Now, I started off with the TE38, this tree one, which is fabulous. And obviously on this stamp, you've got all sorts of different things as well. So you've got separates on the leaves. You've got 3 leaves together. You've got that lovely bit of writing. Tree silhouettes, bare branches and stillness of the season. How cute is that? But I love that because not only is it come to be a tree, it's also a bush in my head anyway. And then I use TE3, which is the fern stamp. Now, I love this because, look at that, we've got those 2 together and then we've got a separate. I use these quite a lot, to be fair, in all of my mates. So it's not just Tracy. I use these, but I use them on all sorts of different things. And you've also got those words as well, fronds and fern. Fabulous. Now, on the first one, we obviously with our little cat, I use TE36. Now, this has got 20 million. Goodness me, there's so much on here. You've got the numbers, you've got numbers, these are all separate as well. Then you've got little, oh, I love this is so cute with the little the skeleton of the fish. Honestly, the fern stamps are my faves. Cat, perfect. And then you've got literally, if you want to do obviously the months and do a calendar, this is perfect because all this is separate. And then you've got all the dates as well, all the way through. Perfect cat, meow. And then look at these little cuties. I mean, how gorgeous are these? Yeah. And obviously these guys in the group are fully aware because it's Tracy's group, so I don't need to show you the close-up of that. But yeah, everyone yes, I haven't physically started. Yes, so oh bless you, calling dibs. And I also use T32, and then this was for these cute little mice. Now this has also got 20 million, and they're all separate, by the way. You've got the full alphabet in capital and lowercase, and then you've also got these gorgeous flowers. Now, I see these not just as flowers, but all sorts of different things I can utilise these for. You've got these gorgeous little pheasants. You've got the mice. You've got hares. I mean, hedgehogs are my favourite. I love hedgehogs and little squirrels. And then you've also got these lovely little sort of tags and little things you can cut out to obviously put in a word in, love, respect, blessings, happy birthday, whatever you want basically, because everything's separate and it's typewriter style. It goes absolutely fabulous. So 2 really good and value for money brilliant stamps, to be fair. So like I say, I am blessed to say that I have literally the majority of Tracy's collection, and I've done that off my own back as well. And don't get me wrong, Tracy has sent me things, and when she has, I've obviously been totally transparent with you and said, but obviously I do purchase stamps, you know, because I and these I've always loved. So when she asked me to do videos and be the production design member, I didn't think twice about it. I absolutely adore the stamps. So I'm hoping my style brings a little twist to Tracy's beautiful stamps. So, and if not, please send me inspiration. Tell me, oh, I would like to see this with this, you know. So I've got the back catalogue of stamps right the way down. Oh, you've ordered earlier. That's fantastic, Chris. There's some amazing stamps, honestly. You won't be disappointed. But yes, so let's crack on. Let me stop chatting. Let's actually get doing, because otherwise people in the background watching are going to go, what's going on? So let me just tell you what I'm actually using today then. So I have got my Winsor & Newton. Now I have got my full pans. So greens, browns, blues, mix them all together. We get black, yellow, etc, etc. So I am using those full pan sets to actually do some painting. So I am going to be painting with paint, water and a brush. Now, I am also going to be using my oxides. Now, I've used spun sugar, but any light will do you for this. So, spun sugar, Victorian velvet, and I got a bit of pickled raspberry. Now, I'll let you rummage through. Don't worry, I'm not going to start straight off. So if you want to go and grab those, and if you haven't got them, just get a light pink and a grey. Okay, now the grey I'm using, and it's only the one, is weathered wood. And that's all you need. So realistically, you could do Victorian velvet and weathered wood if you just got those two. Or you could do weathered wood or any grey, pumice stone, hickory smoke, stormy sky. Stormy sky might be a little bit dark, but hickory smoke could work if you've got hickory smoke. Weathered wood, spun sugar. What else have we got? Saltwater taffy would work. Kitsch flamingo would also work. Worn lipstick would work. But I just picked up these, yeah, as you do. So that's what I've stuck with what I made with these, okay? So while you're gathering your thoughts, you'll also need a VersaFine Clair Black Nocturne. I've got my juicy one, and then I've got my spare one, which is my old one, just so you're aware. And I will tell you as I go through. And I've also got black soot on the Distress Oxide. And again, if you haven't got black soot, don't worry, you've got an old VersaFine, so we'll use that, you know. So there's always options, so don't panic and think I ain't got what she's using. I will give you alternatives if need be. Right, so I'm going to get my chaos out the way, so I'm going to start with a little tag. So if you are watching in the background, it's not going to be long, because I'm just going to block this on just to give you an idea of how quick we're going to put together this larger card, okay? So we're going to use the little mice. Oh, diddly-doo-dah. We're going to use the little mice, and we're going to use the ferns. So if you've got anything of a tiny nature, now bear in mind this is 2.5 inches. Now let me have a look how long it is. Let's have a little look. Lindsay, oh, go on. Hi, how are you, my sweetie? And if we're doing on centimetres, it's about 15 centimetres by 6.5 inches, roughly, just under 6 inches by that 2.5. I should have known that, but there you go. But yeah, so that's what I'm using. Okay, let me just type that down. I'll look at the comments in the group. Angela, hi. Hope you're well. Elizabeth, hi, my sweetie. Thanks for joining us in the group this evening. Hello, hello, hello. Fee, hi. Hope you're well. Right, so what I will be doing is I'll be regularly doing lives in Tracy's group. So that's why I said please be a member of the group if you love your crafting and creating, because if you like my style of work, I will be doing regular sessions in there. And I don't know whether it's going to be weekly yet or fortnightly. It just depends. But there's a lot of stamps, so I want to show you a lot of different techniques, as well as obviously my YouTube stuff. So if I am live on one, obviously there will be a YouTube, unless I'm doing some sort of a special. Now, talking of specials, I'm going to get it out the way. Let's do the thumbs up wherever you're watching. Let's get that algorithm all in the right place. So whether you're on Facebook, in a group, on my page, or on YouTube, give us a thumbs up and please comment, because it all helps, okay? And obviously if you're in Tracy's group, it all helps Tracy's, okay? So let's all be mindful of that. Talking of groups, there's Amanda Jane Crafts. Please get the like button on there, and let's build up Amanda's group as well, because you know where she was previously, you know her style of work. Let's build up that again, because when she's back in the right place, because she's got a few things to sort out, she's going to start crafting in her beautiful style that we all love, and that we're all waiting for to come back. So please follow or like or go onto that page, and that's Amanda Jane Crafts. And while I'm just talking about things like that, workshops, I've got my first online workshop, which is £15. And if you message me or go on my Shopify shop, that's there for that. A lot of you are already in there. You've given me some fabulous feedback. It's value for money, I'll tell you that much. And I'm going to do a live in there probably next week, which is going to be just me and you in the group. Nothing else, no YouTube, no nothing. It's going to be solely for the workshop. So that's that. Let's crack on. I've wasted enough time chatting nonsense. Right, so I've got reference pictures. I've got my blue one, and I've got my pink one. I've I've got my bit of card. First thing you want to do is get your brush. Now, if you're, let me help you guys out, because a lot of you say, I haven't got this, I haven't got that, don't use this, don't use that. Right, so I have got my Tracy's. Where's my Tracy? Well, I'm going to pick up Funky Fossil. We'll turn it under. It's a brush, okay? So let me try it using a brush, as in one of these brushes, yeah? So we've all got different ways. Now, what I have found with these, and why I always go back to it, is it doesn't put on enough ink for me, and I end up really gouging at the paper. So, you know me, I like to be as straight as I can. I like how I can put down. So this is just me personally, okay? Everybody has got different techniques for how they use things. And to be fair, if I really worked, yeah, I can really get that ink on there. But that's, for me, I'm so used to, but it's more than capable of doing it with whatever product you're using. Even if you've got a little eye brush, like the little applicators, these little brushes, you know, anything, whatever you're using, even a paintbrush, yeah, you can put it on doing that. So I just wanted to say that obviously I can use these, and in fact I might blend out when we're going, just to show you. All right, but I like the fact of when I'm putting my ink down, and you can see I'm putting this straight down the middle, okay, because there's our little reference picture. I might do this one a little bit different, you know, as you do. Now I've got one brush, a bit like one sheet of plenty, does it all. So I'm now going to go onto my Victorian Velvet. Now you can do a little bit here, a little bit there. You can see as soon as you put on how it sort of puts down a darker colour. So if you're unsure of how it's going to go, I always say start on your outer corner and bring it in, okay? Because the last thing I want you to do is sort of spoil or think to yourself, I've just lost that nice little effect. Yeah, now that's it. Dead, you know, like I say, I'm not going to say dead easy, but it is. Right, grey. So whatever grey you've got. Now I don't know what grey you're using. I can only say with the grey I'm using, and that's weathered wood. And what I'm going to do, I put some clouds on this one. So these are your little storm clouds. Now, how I blend off, I can feel that chalkiness of the oxide. So I make sure I've got plenty on my brush, and then I'm going to just bring it in to that feel of that oxide that's already down. And once I've felt that chalkiness underneath, I then sort of just move it around. Now, I can, if I wanted to, just bring in a little bit of something here and a little bit of something here. But I mean, this isn't what I've done on the original, but I'm just saying for you to map out. Yeah, that's all you got to do. And if you like what you've got there, don't do anything with it. However, if you do use a blending brush, yeah, whether it's this one or this one, you can go into this now and give yourself a smoother effect, whether you're using this one. So I always find that these hold, I don't know why, I just find that they hold more ink. However, to get a blend, you can quite easily put your finger down and push on that if you need to, and do a blend that way, so you've got that softer brush. Now this is not going to stay like that. We're going to play around with it clearly. All right, so put those out the way. Now it's time to sort of have a little bit of a paint. Now this is where you get adventurous. Now you can use whatever paint you like, okay? So I am going to make up sort of a dark colour now. So I've got this dark green, which really doesn't resemble much of it. It's like a greeny whatever, yeah. So I'm going to put that paint down there, yeah. Swirl my brush, and then I'm going to go in with some brown. I'm just going to put some water on that. So I'm going to get the brown, put that in. Why not? So it's going like a manky colour now. You know, that muddy colour that you don't want? That's what I want. And then I'm going to get some blue. I'm going to get that darker blue. And I'm just going to put that in. Now, you can, I mean, if I got my other set of pans out, I've quite clearly got black, yeah. But all I want to do now, and you can do this with anything, you can do this with, let me just give you the show you the bits and bobs now, because I want you to be comfortable and think, oh, I've got to go and buy a paint set. No, you haven't, right? If I wanted to just get a watercolour pencil and then just go, oh, okay, well, I just want my little mouse to go here. We're just going to draw this out roughly, yeah? And then I want this to come down here. It's just a bit of a sketch, yeah? And then if you wanted to then put water on that or colour it in, yeah, you can quite easily do that. And you ain't got to be Picasso. I mean, look at this. I'm just doing some sort of scribble at the minute. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Let's do that there. So what I want you to do is be really loose and adventurous, you know, and it's like just a case of, okay, let's have a go. So this is a layer. And I'm trying to explain to you guys now, moving forward, about layers. Now, I've obviously got some on my brush there. Some darky, greeny, blacky colour. I don't know what it is. But it's going on, which I don't mind. So I'm now putting a layer on. So I've got that watercolour pencil. And what I used was Mondelez black. And that's giving me that undertone of black. Now, I want to create some sort of like a little bridge, yeah, that's what you're all here for. You want to see the ins and outs of how to create this. Now this is watercolor, so I did use this earlier. I ain't cleaned it like I normally do. I don't clean anything, do I? So I'm just going to put some water on there, as you can see, and all I'm going to do now is literally move around that bit of paint and that watercolor pencil what I've put down, yeah. Now if it's too wet, dead easy, let's get the dryer out. Yeah, there we go. Well, I'm happy with that. See, I've got something right there. And with you being confident enough to do this, when we move on to that bigger piece and do a bigger scale, it'll make sense to you then, because you will actually, let me move that out of the way because of the light, you will actually go, yes, I get it. So let me get that heat and let's dry it off. And it doesn't take long to, when you've put yourself a bit of paint and water down, depending how wet your brush is. If you're not using one of these water brushes and you're just using a, you know, just a box standard brush, obviously it depends how much water you've put on it. And just remember, if your card curls, you turn it over, put the heat on it, it'll re-flatten itself, okay? So let's put that down there out of the way. So now we've got that lovely base. So we're now going to create another layer. Now there's going to be several layers on here. Now we've used those lovely little mice on this one, and you know me, I don't like to repeat myself. So I'm going to look, and I'm thinking for this particular card, as it's smaller, let's have a look. Oh, let me just move that down there. There we go, sorted. Hi Sally. We've got little squirrels, we've got little hares. I tell you what, let's use shall we use these? What do you reckon? I think the bridge might be a little bit too, I don't know. Do you know something? Let me just see how adventurous this. Why don't I do what I normally do? Take it out the packet and go, look, Lise, let's have a look. So we can see, shall we do Mr. Hedgehog? Or shall we do Mr. Hare? Or shall we do Mr. Oh, you see, if I want to do him, I want to do colours. I tell you what, shall we try Mr. Hedgehog? Let him go off on a perilous journey. Oh, I can just see it now. Oh, that would be an interesting one, wouldn't it? Mr. Hedgehog on a perilous journey. Oh, love it. You see, already I've got in my head, he's going on a perilous journey. So it's got to be quite a dramatic thing that we're putting together now. So I'm going to get my nice juicy Nocturne. So whenever you're stamping, try and make sure you're using a decent pad, because otherwise, unless you're using a Misty or a stamping platform, one of them contraptions, that's what I'll call them, you could end up literally with only half a print on. So if you haven't got yourself a juicy pad, bear that in mind. Now I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap, because I want to then just give Mr. Hedgehog just something to go under, a bit of grass maybe, or some pebbles, just so that he might be floating in a minute, but we will ground him. There we go. Look at him. He's proper going for it there. So when you've got this set and you think to yourself, well, what am I going to do with it? There's always something that you can put one of these little creatures on. Now, I know my mum goes, you never do the same card. No, I don't. I don't do the same card because I like to sort of keep it where if I send somebody something, it's an original. And you're not going to get it duplicated over and over and over again. The colours are different, the placement will be different, and that's how I like it, because I want you guys to have something unique and not just a copied print and not just a stamp down and some bog standard sort of thing. Right, so as I said now, little man here, let me just give him a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of a hump and a bit of movement there. So all I've used there is that watercolour pencil. Whatever products you've got, use, yeah? So these are Mondelez. If you've got something from W.H. Smith, use it. If you've got something from, I don't know, Castell, for instance, use them. It makes no difference. It's a watercolour, yeah? Use it. I'm all about using what you've got in your kit and not, I mean, it's great to replenish and buy and treat yourself. Go for it. But I'm not here for you to just keep pushing. I'm here for you to use your kit and to enjoy it. And then when you're enjoying it that much, you want to buy new stamps when they come out. You'll want to buy little bits that other people are using you or showing you. And then it all makes it worthwhile because you're putting a kit together. So that's what I'm all about. Right, so I've just got my little brush now. And obviously I'm just making sure I've got nothing additional on. And what I want to do up here is I want to give a scene now. Now, on this one, I've added some little rocks and things like that, which I'm going to do in a second. But while I've got a clean brush, I just want to add, now you know me with my jiggly movements. It's the only way I can say it really, is let me just put a bit of water on that. There we go. And all I'm going to do is move those oxides around so you can just sort of see there's a little bit of something going on. And what you've got to be mindful of is if you're scraping onto card, you don't want to damage the cardstock with your brush. So these water brushes can be quite harsh. So please just be mindful and just try and move around the actual ink that's on there. So you're going to be quite light with that movement. Now, while I've got water on there and I'm moving it around, I'm just going to open my lid and I'm just going to pop just a bit of white. And it's damp, so I know I've got a little bit on there. And all I'm going to do is move it into the grey and the pink. So it's giving me that sort of cloud effect. And I'm just going to dab it on again and just do a little bit of something up here. And all I wanted is to sort of have a look at that sort of cloud. Because this one won't have lightning on, but the other one might. I want to try and keep this one maybe just a little bit more upmarket because we've got this lovely little hedgehog. I don't want nothing happening to him. I want him to enjoy his little stroll basically. So there we go. Now I'm going to let that dry and you're going to look at it and think, oh, what's going on there? To be fair, from a distance I can see where it's going, and obviously when we start to bring it in with different colours it'll look a lot better. But that's a layer. And what you want to start understanding is when you're putting layers down, they can move. So I can add water on this and reactivate it and it'll move again. So apart from that permanent bit that we've put down, everything on here can move with water. So bear that in mind when you start to stamp. And if you're going to stamp in VersaFine Clear, it's a permanent ink, it will stay put. So unless you're painting it or painting over it, then things will move. Okay, so I am going to start to build up a little bit of a layer now. Now down here I just want to add, so I'm just going to get a little bit of paint on here and I'm just going to put a little bit of a rock face, and I just want to sort of just bring it out a little bit, and I'm going to bring that in to bring it out. And don't worry if you think to yourself, oh, that looks a bit odd. I want it to look a bit odd. I want it to look different. I want it to be sort of like a rock face. You know, I don't want anything to sort of have straight and pretty lines on it. I want it to be jaggedy and like perilous. Because if this little hedgehog falls, oh, crumbs, we can't have that now, can we? So here, for instance, now, with it looking a little bit lighter, I'm just going to get my brush and I'm just going to touch it onto the pad. Now, don't be worrying and thinking, oh, I'm going to ruin my pad. I've heard a lot of people go, oh, Lise, what are you doing that for? Well, you re-ink it because it runs out, yeah? That means there's ink on it, which means that you can use it and you can paint with it and you can do all sorts of different things with it, yeah? So, you know, please don't worry if you put a wet brush onto it and you start sort of doing things like painting because that's what it's all about. And if you really, really don't want to do that and you've got a re-inker, get your re-inker out and put it down and then paint with it, yeah? Because you put a blob of your re-ink on and look at that, you can paint with it. So just bear in mind, you think you brought a re-inker just to re-ink. I actually paint with mine, yeah? So we've got that lovely little cliff edge now, which is looking quite dramatic. So I'm going to now quickly get some stamps. So I'm going to move these over here out the way for a second or two. And I'm going to get my ferns. Now this fern I love. So let's have a look at that. Pink and grey. Yes, pink and grey is beautiful. Love it. So we're going to get the ferns now. And this is TE3. And if any of the stamps that you look to tonight, make sure you add this one to your collection. This is absolutely amazing. The detail in it is perfect. If you want nice big chunky leaves, go for it. But I want this little one here because I'm just going to use the top end of it. And it's all, I mean, I could use the side end of it. We could have jaggedy, we could have grasses. Look at the stamp and look at it in a different way. Now, the first thing I am going to do is just dry off where we've wet there. So I'm just going to pop that on just nice and quickly. Just clear that off a little bit. There we go. Voila. Doesn't take long, you see, once you've put a little bit of paint down. It's quite easy to get it cleared off. So stamp. Now I am going to do a bit of finger stamping. Me and finger stamping are like the thing to do. And I have got my juicy pad. Now I am going to get a little bit of scrap paper, so bear with me. Oh, I've tidied up. Crumbs. That's always a bad sign when I tidy up. I'll never find anything again. There we go. Right, okay, scrap. Well, it is now anyway. Right. So we've got edges, we've got danger, he's climbing across there. And I want to know what we've done with our little mate. I just want to give him that little bit of like oomph, basically. So down here, I'm not too worried. So I'm just going to literally go in and I'm going to stamp off so I know where my ink is going. Okay. So I am now just going to bring that around just so I can see those little bits of ferns just juggling out. Now, I know you're thinking, well, ferns are lush and green. They will be if you want them to be. And remember, this is your interpretation. It hasn't got to be lush green. You could do this as dark and, you know, this could be like the cave part and, you know, let your imagination go. You know, be adventurous. But I am going to put some green in because I love green ferns. So yeah, I'm just ignore me. I'm just going with the flow now. So I am really, bless him, he's really sort of contained here. So on this side, I'm actually going to be quite light with this. Let me just put a little bit here and there. Now I love ferns because ferns are just like all over the place and it's just like chaos and carnage sort of thing. And I think it's brilliant. So what I'm going to do here now is get my little brush, and this is wet ink here. Now, me and wet ink, gosh, well, I've got a thing, me and wet ink. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush down here, and I'm going to do it so it looks like a bit of a misting. So, because we've just stamped Nocturne onto paint, that's a wet, and it takes a little bit to dry, so you can actually blot off if you want to. Okay, now because I don't want to get my fingers all over it because this might go out to somebody, I'm now just going to put myself a nice little bit. Look at that, I'm being ever so good today, you know. Crumbs. Now I'm going to put a layer on. So the layer I'm going to put on is going to be, let me grab, I'm going to use this brush and I'm going to get my pan pastels and I am going to put just a little bit of misting so it looks like it's that evening before the storm and he's off on his little, Harry the Hedgehog is off on his adventures. So I'm going to put this misting sort of down here And then I'm also going to pop this little bit, and it's just pan pastel. Now, if you haven't got pan pastel, let me give you an option. If you've got just a stick, now these are Toison Noir, and they're just like pastels, and you can just rub them on and you can move it around. And if you want to rub it on and then move it around, you can do. But again, you can just put it down, move it around. Yeah, you get the gist. Yeah, so don't always think I haven't got it. If you haven't got this and you've got a, let me give you the option. If you've got soft pastel pencils, these are Gioconda, and you can, once you get it alive, again you can do exactly the same and move it around. Yeah, so I'm just gonna put on here. Now, because I've just done that little layer, we've got a really lovely little dramatic effect going on there. So with that dramatic effect, I just want to put me another little layer of fern. Now, all I'm going to do now is just take it from the side, and I'm going to turn the card. And don't be shy, because ferns grow in the most craziest of places, and that's what I love about ferns. You know, you can get some, I mean, oh, Rain by Me, I love going to Cannock Chase. When I was a kid, I got some fantastic memories of, like, you know, going through all the ferns and that. And I think that's why they're just so dear to me when I think about ferns. So the layers now that I've got, look at that now. Okay, so that, to me, I just need to dry that off. So what I'm going to do is get my black brush. Let me move that out of the way. Black brush. Well, there you are. Knew I'd find it somewhere. So all I'm going to do is just, now bear in mind we've got wet ink, so I'm just going to sort of dab on, dab off. Let me mind that. There we go. Right, so that was just with one stamp and then our little hedgehog. So realistically, you don't need a great deal to create something with a really big impact. You know, and a lot of you will think, oh, I need this, I need this, and you don't. You know, you just got to have a little bit of imagination, which I know sometimes that's difficult to come by. But if you've got a reference picture, anything's available. Anything's sort of, you can do anything really. Now, you can leave that backdrop there if you wanted to, or you could just get whatever's on your grey and just give it a little bit of a wiggle. So you've got sort of a little bit of something going on in the background. Now, if you're going over where there's any ink, you will bring it in. Okay, so make sure you're mindful of that, because the last thing I want you to do is ruin where you're at with the card. So all I'm going to do now is just literally kiss those edges just with that. So now I've got quite a dramatic little sort of thing going on with him going over that bridge. Now, it's all about the detail, as you know, and I like to put in little bits of detail just so it just makes your design that little bit more what people are going to go, wow. So straight into me, into my mouth, as one says. I'm being all posh tonight, not good, is it? Now I'm going to go into where I've got some of this dark, and now I could go in with a brown if I wanted to. But what I want to do now, and we've got this very fine detail brush, and on all the others I've just put sort of vines coming down. Now you can just wiggle it if you wanted to. You could just kiss it in places. But at the end of the day, you do what you want to do, and if you don't want anything there, don't put it there. But I just want to put a little bit of, maybe a bit of green, a bit of brown. And I'm just going to do a couple on this little bit here. I mean, if you've got a fine line pen, you might be able to do it with that, if you're comfortable to do that, because some of you guys might not be comfortable to add those little bits of detail. Now, don't forget we've had these little ledges. I've put them there for a reason. I want you to sort of add that little bit of detail and depth, and depending how long these ferns have been here, let's add a little bit of something off there as well. So this one gives you a lot of different sort of indications of things going on. Now I'm going to get another brush, pop a bit of water on. I'm going to pull the water off it, because I'm now going to go in with some paint. Now, the paint I'm using is what I have originally done to start with that area there. So I'm going to bring this into shot just so you can see what I'm doing. And it's just what I've already mixed up. Now, bear in mind, we've got all those lovely layers. All I'm doing here is just going over where I've just put that little bit of sort of the vines coming down. And little dots here and there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ground him, obviously, because we don't want him sort of floating along. Otherwise, if you see a floating hedgehog, then you'd probably run. You know, I probably wouldn't actually. I'd probably go, hey, how are you? Now, in the lid, which I shouldn't be doing, but I am, I'm now contaminating my lid. So I will have to wipe my lid later because I don't want it going in my main white. But I just actually want to start pulling just some little areas here where I think to myself, I just want to do a little bit of a highlight. Now, if you think, oh, I've messed it up, get your finger and just squidge it about, because that will then take away any harshness that you're putting down. So these are all hints and tips for you. So don't be shy to sort of play around with what you're doing. And this will go in a bit because we're going to put paint on there. So talking of the paint, I'm going to get this lovely lighter green. And I think this is like a lush green. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to bring it around this area. You know, like where these funky leaves are with the ferns. I'm going to put a little line here and there. And I want to sort of give that interpretation that there's maybe moss down. And he's really, you know, because, I mean, if you've ever walked down in the woods and you've walked over some with moss and water and, you know, all that, before you know it, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm halfway down, my foot's in the puddle, I'm on my bum and I'm nearly wetting myself, you know, because I've got myself in a right pickle, you know, but that's me. So for you guys, I'm sure you're not going to do that. Yeah, I can relate totally. Trust me. Oh, dear me. Anyway, right, so I'm just putting where I think I want those little bits of green for the leaves. Now, as you can see now, it's starting to look like a proper little scene on a card. And this is just a white piece of card. So you're being a lot more sort of artistic. Now, there is nothing hard I've put down on this tonight. There's nothing difficult that you couldn't use any stamps. Traces, obviously, are what I'm working with. But whatever stamps you've got, please have a play around. I mean, some of Tracy's earlier stamps would go in so well. The flowers, goodness me, there's loads of beautiful stamps that we could play around with this, yeah? So, what I want to do now is clean brush. And I'm going to get the white. Now, this is what takes you to a different level. For your, like I always say, there's always that piece of work that you do which somebody will go, oh wow, that's really nice, yeah. And to me, putting little bits of white and little bits of colour in play, your eye is now going to be drawn to think there's little flowers, you've got nice little bits here and there, yeah. And if you don't like it, we add water and take it away, because I'm going to show you that in a minute. And then here, where we've got this sort of cliff little edges and like these little areas, you know, if there's a bit of sunlight there and it's just catching the area, let's just put a little bit of water with that white, and let's just put a little bit of glimmer, you know, just here and there, just so it looks like that the light's just catching. Maybe it's a slate bridge, you know. I mean, can you just imagine the dangers of him crawling over this now? Ooh, crumbs, you know. So let's just put this down here and put that across there. Now, for me, there's too much white on there, so let me get my brush. Let's show you what we're doing. I'm going to pull the water off, and then all I'm going to do then is just add water slightly over the white here. And that's just giving that movement of that sort of flower area, because I might want to put a bit of yellow in. Now here, for instance, I want to just break down the harshness of the white, just so it's more of a reflection on the rock. Only here and there though, because you're still going to have some of that reflection in places, and that's what gives you the depth as an artist. And we're all artists in our own way. So please don't turn around and say, I'm not an artist. Yeah, yes, you are. If you create something, and you're all creating, you can all create something, even if it's a scribble on the card, you're still an artist, yeah? So all I'm going to do here now is just put a little bit of yellow in. Now, you can put whatever colour you like, but I think the yellow and green always gives it a bit of a lush look. So you'll always find me, if I'm creating things like this woodlandy sort of effects, you'll always see me do this bit of a combination, because for me it just symbolises lushness, and I just think it's just, you know, dynamic, just to give you that eyesight of those colours. Now, you can quite easily just add little highlights onto, let me just put a little bit of water with that. You can put highlights of yellows or greens just into these lovely details without taking away the detail that Tracy's put into these. Just little bits here and there. And that's all you've got to do, really, is just, if there's anything you don't like the look of, just dab it with your finger. Let me just put a little bit more water there. That's it. Perfect. So again, we've got a lot of ferns down here, and I just want to just bring maybe just a couple of little highlighted areas just in places, just with that yellow. And if it's too much, dab it along with the finger. And then all I'm going to do now, and this card will be done, is, do I give him a little eye? Well, why not? Do I just highlight a couple of his little spikes? Why not? Because if you've stamped it and you've not moved it or splodged it, you're going to see all those lovely little spikes. But all I'm doing is just adding that little bit of additional highlight, and I'm just want to just put a little bit of flicker of white just round by his little feet. And I'm just going to bring it along here a little bit. Why not? So he's just off on his little walk. So there's one. Yeah. So I'm hoping you got the gist of being a real raw paint and then stamping to give you this effect. Yeah. So I'm hoping that sort of now sort of gives you, I mean, look at that now. We've got those two little munchkins. Yeah. We've got these two playing hide and seek with the lightning, and then this one's just strolling off chilling. Yeah. But can you see this, the detail that you're putting in? And I'll just show you guys now, just so you can say. Hi, Carol, Ruth. Hello, hello. Marjorie, hi. Okie dokie. So everyone's liking that. Have a mini. Lost. Oh, okay. Crumbs. Oh dear me. All off on hiking adventures, aren't you? So let me just quickly just pull together that little bit of grey on there, because even though it's only a tag, I still want it to look nice. So I'm just going to pull that onto that bit. There we go. There we are. Sorted. Right, so that's that. So I'm going to clear my area away now, and we're going to now go on to the bigger, the A5 now. Hopefully that's given you an understanding of just putting your layers down. Has anybody got any questions? Let me just have a quick look on comments. Hi, Sherry, Eva, Tracy. I enjoy watching your videos. Oh, thank you, Sherry. Thank you for joining us. We've just completed these two little munchkins. So hopefully you're going to have a go at them, which would be brilliant if you did. Let's have a look on here. Tracy, Faye, Marjorie, Ruth, Carol, you're all good. Lisa likes it. Fabulous. Elizabeth, fabulous. Tracy, good, good, good. Okay, so leave it there. Bum, bum, bum. Trunks and a couple of crumbs. Fans are about 4 foot. Perfect, isn't they? Love it. Right, okay. So we're all off on adventures in the woodland, which is fabulous. Right, let's tidy up. I'll put them over there and we'll look back at them later, because the little hedgehog will be all nice and dry and cuddly and raring for going off onto the wilderness, no doubt. Right, I'm just going to move things out the way without knocking any cameras. So let's start on the larger one now. Right, so let me get some clean paper. Woohoo! There we go. So I'm just going to flick it round for now. So on the larger one, we've got the cat there. So I'm going to have something, because I need something with a larger than what we've just done, because obviously you've got to think about what you're using to how it's going to balance on a tag. Obviously we could use something smaller. The larger card, you need to balance it, or have several things there to to compensate that. Okay, so let me grab my card now. Where have I put it? I believe it's here. Yes, it is. There we go. So this is Super Smooth 300 GSM Pink Frog. It's a fabulous card, and you really can, you know, put plenty of water on, mess around with it. It's absolutely fabulous stuff. So we're going to do the same again. I've got spun sugar, we've got Victorian velvet, and I've got pickled raspberry. Now this is a bit different because this time we were doing a bit of a backdrop in, but we're going to start with the colours first. So I'm going to move my palette over there because I don't want that getting in the way, and I'm going to put those there. So spun sugar, like I said, you can use any lighter one. For instance, saltwater taffy, anything like, I mean, that's more of like an orange, it's sort of like an orangey one, isn't it, really? An orangey pink. But I've kept with the pinks because I like the balance on these. Worn lipstick, that was, again, that balances out with like a peachy colour. And then here, there you go, Keach Flamingo, that's also very similar. So again, use what you've got, as in the colours, and what you feel will match this sort of design. Now obviously in the middle area we're going to have that sort of walkway, we're going to have it coming down and up on the sides. So I want to leave that area blank here. So I'm going to now small circular movements. I can't sort of say that enough. When you're putting together blending, obviously this is the lighter colour, so we can blend over this, but if you start with your light colour, and if you're unsure, just practice your blending like this, because if you can get your blend on a light colour, the dark colour will be a lot easier to sort of manage. Now I'm going to come down roughly about down to this sort of area here. So again, it hasn't got to be perfect because there's going to be layers involved, but you do want that sort of nice light pink in the middle area, because then we're going to put darker colours building it out. Okay, so that's your spun sugar, which is the lighter colour. So I'm now going to up to the Victorian velvet, which has got this sort of greyy sort of it's like a greyy pink is the best way I can describe it. And with that, because we're going to have grey coming in, I now want to take this colour out of coming in. So I'm going to start over a little bit where it's white, and then I'm going to bring it in to blend in to my lighter pink. Now don't worry if you get big blobby bits, because I love that, because to me that adds more depth. And I know I can put water on that and I can move it along, or I can turn this into the rain clouds, because on this one we're going to put some lightning on. And lightning always reminds me of Anthony. So we're going to have probably like a thunderous theme on this one, where whatever we're putting on top of that bridge might even be quite scared of, you know, the dramatic scene that we're going to pull together. Now we've got the lighter bit, and then we want a bit of an outer darker bit, but it's more of sort of, I'm going to say like a V shape, but don't go like that, because you don't want that sort of shape. And it's so easy to sort of go, well, she said a V shape, let me do that. All you're going to do there is make yourself more work, and it's all about your little circle blending. So please don't think of the easy option. You're just going to spend all this time blending away. Do it really nicely, in the fact that just do it a bit at a time if you need to, and build it up. So now we've got pickled raspberry. I love this colour. And again, you can use Keach Flamingo, any of the others, even the lighter colours, any. Well, we've got them. So, you know, it's one of them. And all I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to take this lovely darker pink, and I'm going to pull that in just a little bit over. Okay. Now I'm hoping everyone can see okay. And I'll have a look at the comments in a minute, because I don't want to miss anything if anybody's asking. So I don't want to seem like I'm being ignorant, but obviously I'm creating. And I've got that many different ones there. This cat reminds me of the vintage Avon perfume cat. Okay. Okay, answer the phone. She's off on the phone. So all I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add a little bit of that darker pink because we're going to go into the grey. So where you've got these big blobs, let's actually make it into something dramatic. Now, as you can see, all I'm doing is those circle motion. Do not screw up, because that's where you will you'll lose that nice blend that you're just starting to build up now. And it does take a bit, but it's worth it if you just take your time. So whatever grey you're using, whether it's hickory smoke, weathered wood, what else we got, pumice stone, stormy sky. I do think stormy sky might be a little bit too much, but there's ice spruce as well, you know. But if you've got weathered wood or hickory smoke, you're laughing basically. So I'm going to bring in from the outer edges first. Let me move these out your way so you can see as we go in. Let me just make sure comments everybody's okay. Beverly, due to the camera. I know, unfortunately, that's where always watch. So you don't like the angle on here, but watch on YouTube. You get so much better. All right. So if you're finding the angles a bit sort of not nice, YouTube's the better one, because YouTube is overhead. YouTube will see it exactly as it is. And I'm sorry, but yes, we've got a version over here and a version over here. So hopefully I'm not covering up too much for everybody. And I apologise if I am. But yeah, there's not a lot I can do about it at the minute. Right, so let's get this grey on. Now, grey can be quite sort of overpowering when you put it first down. So put it down, leave it if you need to, because don't let yourself panic and think, oh, I've just put too much down. Okay, take it off your brush and go back. And then all you're going to do then is take it into your lighter and blend it around. Now, can you see how it goes? Now, for me, I'll just add a little bit more in, because I want that dramatic cloud. Now, you could even add blues and stuff into this, but because obviously this is going to be sort of a stormy cloud, I probably want this area here to be that darker. Well, we'll see actually. I'll see how it balances out and see whether I'll put another darker bit on, but I'm going to put a bit in here. And bear in mind, I'm going to put black over this as well, but not fully black. So I'm just going to take this now and blend. So if you've got it like that, you can get your pink brush and then go over your grey to take away any harsh circles or any harsh movements, and then go back over. And that's all it is, a case of messing around with your blend. Oh, I thought I had a rogue, no, thought I had a rogue hair then. That would be an interesting one. So yeah. So to me now, that's given you that sort of cloudy sort of shape there. Now down here, you can just go rough if you wanted to, and just put in that sort of guide area. The things I tell you not to do sometimes are the things that need to be done just to have that quickness. Yeah. So I've now got that area, and I've got to now build up that bridge. So we're now going to build up that bridge area. Now I'm going to use oxide, and I'm going to do black soot, because I'm going to try and do it just in case somebody's not got a paint set. So I'm trying to think on all different options that cover you to think, oh, I've got to go and buy a paint set now. Well, no, you haven't. We've got an oxide, we've got this, we've got, if you've got a re-inker, let me have a look, have I got a re-inker? Yeah. Right, black soot re-inker. Let me give it a shake. I find these re-inkers more of a grey than a black. But hey-ho, one of them. So I can put it in the lid, why ever not. There we go. Don't need a lot. So one re-inker, one little splodge in the lid. There we go. And all I'm going to do now is my paint's there, my brush is here. Now bear in mind, this is a water brush, and it is obviously going to move things around. So I am being really sort of very loose with this movement on here, and as you can see, it's just literally a line going across. And what I'm going to do now is think about, I want this to come down quite dramatic, maybe like so. And all I'm going to do now is just move that dark into a lighter area coming back. Take it over. Don't worry about these edges because we know exactly what we're going to do with them. We're going to be putting black over them. So I'm going to come over. I'm going to bring it down. A bit dramatic there maybe. This is just that re-inker. And all I'm going to do now is turn that around. Move the paint around, or the re-inking ink. And I'm going to put a little bit of water down on my brush, and I'm just going to move it around. And I want to move it so it's actually giving me, for one, no harsh lines, and for number two, it's actually moving that ink around so it's not just a big blob of ink in one place. Okay, so I'm going to take that around there. So now you've got the idea or the understanding of sort of that dramatic little area. Now let's just build this up now. So it's all about the layers now. Okay, so you can see, let me dry it off. You'll be able to see now, building up layer upon layer. This will get darker and darker. You can add greens on, you could add whatever you like on, but all I want at the minute is just to give me that understanding that I've got a bridge there. So I'm going to go back in with my re-inker, and I'm going to lay down dark a bit because I want it darker there, and I want this darker bit here because whatever's going on that bridge needs to stand on something darker, and I want to put detail on that. And then same again, I'm just going to bring it around and down. And I'm not too worried down here because I'm either going to put foliage down or it's going to be black that I'm going to actually move it around with. Okay, now if you find that you can go straight on, and sometimes obviously it seems to be a lot darker when you go straight in on your pad. And again, you can put your layers on so it looks like you've got layers of rock. And it depends on how detailed you want to go now. Now, me personally, because I know that it's going to be pointless because I'm going to build up trees and stuff there, I ain't going to have any more detail. So I'm going to turn this around here, and I'm going into the pad, as you can clearly see. And I'm just going to bring that darker detail at the edge. And to be fair, I'm quite happy with that because I know that when I put the rest of it on, it's going to be totally different up there. Right, so now we're going to put the layers on behind this. Now I'm going to dry it off because we're now going to be moving these colours around with water. So make sure that you've got any of the black, if you're using a water brush, any of the black off your brush. And I'm going to blast that off with the heat now because I don't want the black going into the pink. Well, you can, but it'll make your job a little bit harder. Now the trick of moving your oxides around is you push your ink to where you want it to go, which I'll show you what I mean now. Okay, so you've got a darker pink going into a lighter pink, and I want this dark pink to go at the edge. So I'm going to do I'm going to have water on my brush for starters, which always helps, and I'm going to move this pink so the ink is going towards the edge, and I'm going to bring it down, and then I'm going to actually move the oxide so I'm not giving myself streaky lines. Now the pink that I used was pickled raspberry, and I'm going to have it here, and I am going to put a bit on there on the pad, and I am just going to move that around just so it actually gives me a darker pink at the edge. Now I can add ferns, I could add little bits of wispy grass, I could just draw a colour over it if I wanted to. It's totally up to you. But as you're doing it now, you've added a layer basically of a rock in that background, and you're going to do the same again however you wanted this area to be, sort of down maybe. Do it how you want. And I want to move that oxide over so it's more towards that edge. So when I mean move it, I mean I want it over here where the line is. So you know yourself, when you're playing with your inks, push the ink over towards the edge. And if it's not doing it, add some more ink on and just glide it around. So don't be shy. You're not going to damage anything. All I'll say is, if you're using a harsh brush, watch what you're doing to your paper. Because even though Pink Frog is like indestructible, you keep rubbing it and you will get this. See these little fragments of paper? You will get that. And even though it's not causing holes or anything, the last thing I want you to do is damage what you're doing. Okay? So then you're going to go to the next layer. So I can see that it's sort of here. And all I'm going to do is, whatever's on my brush, I'm just going to move that around. And that's giving me, it's moved that light pink around. And it's actually given me quite, you know, a nice dramatic effect as it is. But if you want any more on, we know that it was Victorian velvet. And we know that we can quite easily do the same again if you wanted to. You haven't got to. And then just put that down. Now that's just too sort of straight for me. So I'm going to change that up to there. And I'm going to just bring that down. And I'm going to do the same again on this side. This one I want it to come more down here. I want that to be straight and sort of follow what I've got there. And all I'm doing is just wiggling the brush around. And that's actually given me quite a nice structure without me really doing too much to it. So there you go. And that's given me those different layers. Now, when you've put all your little bit of foliage and stuff like that, that lighter area will go very, very quickly. And depending on what we put in here, bear in mind I want to do this more of a dramatic lightning sort of thing. I need to sort of bring a little bit of darkness down here. So I am just going to put a little bit of cloud just down a little bit, just so it brings it down, so it looks like that cloud's followed down sort of thing. Now, yeah, that will do for me. And then I'm just going to buff in here. There we go. Sorted. Right. So I'm going to just clean my brush off. And again, just make sure that there's nothing left on, especially when you've been working around darks and stuff like that. Now, what I want to do around here is I'm going to think about where there's going to be a cloud, but I also think about what I want to put there. So we've got the cats. So let me just grab, let me move those out the way, and let me grab those lovely little cats. Now, we've got the cats and we've got that lovely bit of foliage which I'm going to use, which is TE 38 and 36. Now, there's a lot of different cats on here. We've got the one that I used originally, which was standing up. We've got this larger one, and we've got two little sort of cutie poosies. And you know something, I'm going to put them two together looking at the lightning. I think this is going to be like a little bit of a lover's thing. Two of these little cuties together. So, and don't forget, these stamps have got so many options that you can do with them. They're absolutely fabulous. I'm going to put that there, and now I'm going to put a little pussycat. I'm going to pop him on here. So I'm now going to put them where I want them for starters, but then I'm also going to think about what I'm going around it, where I'm going to put ferns, where I'm going to put trees, and how I'm just going to build up that area. Okay, so we've got one little pussycat here, and I'm going to pop him over a little bit. And again, do it where if you want to ground it or add another rock or a tree, or you know, anything that you sort of want to pull together with that little area. Let me get the other little cutie. It's like little lovers watching a storm together. Aren't they cute? There we go. Let's pop them here, side by side sort of thing. Bit of a gap in that area, and that works out quite well really when you look, and then they've got that area there, and you're gonna have a bit of lightning coming down. It's going to look quite dramatic, this is, for these two little munchkins. Right, so now let me put those out the way. So that was, as I say, let me just give you the correct number, TE 36 with all of those stamps on. Absolutely fabulous. Now let me get the tree. Now this tree is fabulous. Now you can use it as a full tree, but I'm going to use it just as a bush. So all I'm going to do is the actual tree part, but not the full tree. And I'm going to start by doing just some random, so I'm going to get me scrap bit of paper. So I'm just going to build up and plot where I'm actually going to put this picture together. So this is the breakdown now of your layers. Yeah. So for one, I've covered my finger in black ink, which is never good. That means I've got to get me a bit of tissue. It's going to happen. You just know it. Okay. So I don't want to go too heavy, but I do want enough so it's giving you that interpretation of a build up of a tree area. And I might even just come out a little bit where that, because then that would then have that storm and that lightning coming across. Yeah. And then I'm going to move this down, and I'm just going to have a little bit of foliage here, because then that will allow me to sort of take that into ferns or anything like that that I want to build up. And you can actually bring it down so it looks like there's all sorts of things growing on that rock face, that ridge area that you've done. Now, if you're unsure and you don't trust your pad, you can wipe off your edges. I'm quite happy because I know it's not going to literally kill anything or overgo anywhere it shouldn't do, but everybody's different. So I'm just going to put this at lengthwise, and I'm just going to have that as a little bit of a foliage area, and I'm just going to do a little bit here just so it sort of imitates a build up, but it's not as heavy as that end. And the same here, I'm just going to give a little bit of foliage there, but then I'm actually going to take probably some over just so it looks like it's coming down. And then down here at the bottom part, you might actually want to just sort of give the interpretation that you've got some trees and you can just see the top of the trees, just like at the ridge sort of thing. And again, it makes no difference here because we're going to bring that darker area in. Okay, so that you're then going to clean your stamp like Lisa does, not. So we're going to put that back where it needs to go so we don't lose it, because I'm forever doing that. Right, so that's that lovely stamp, and that's it. That's all you need of that one. And that is TE38 silhouettes. Fabulous. And the leaves, and I mean, you can put the leaves and stuff on. That would be fabulous, you know. But this is the way I'm going today. Now, where have I put me? Where have I put? Here it is. Right, so foliage. I'm going to just quickly pop a couple of little bits of the fern. Now, I am going to put it on here, and I'm just going to just do a little bit sort of at the edge, and I'm just going to bring it so it looks like we've got a little bit of a fern growth there. And then I'm just going to just take the edges and just do a couple of little, just nothing too major here, because I don't want to lose the effect that we're going to go on, because we are going to put like little bits and bobs down there. But I do want to put some little bits here, and maybe first and second generation, and that gives you sort of a little bit of different depth there. Okay. And again, if you don't like the harshness of that, Lisa's just put a finger back in the pad again. Honestly, I'd cause myself so many problems. I do. Dear. And I'm just going to do this little ledge here. I'm just going to have just a couple of like ferns sticking out. Now, because it's wet, you can actually blend this in really well. And I just want to show you that. So obviously when you're going onto the paint, you will have that little bit of area where it will still not fully dry. And before it dries, you can actually blend in to, you know, to that area, and obviously with it being black. But you can also then, if you wanted to, use an old pad, which I do a lot, and I will just get my brush and I will actually blend in, and I will just take it over just a little. Now, because this is permanent, I know that when I start building on it, it's going to stay put. So the dark will be dark sort of thing. So I can now look and maybe just think to myself, oh, I just want to give a little bit of extra depth down here before I start buffing in my edges. So this is in my head now. All I'm doing is building that layer. So I know now where I'm sort of going to do like some dramatic areas here. And let me just bring that together there. So already we've got two little pussycats looking at what could be the moon there. Could be absolutely anything, but it's going to be a storm, basically, which we will put together in a second. So we're nearly there, actually. I think to myself, oh, thank goodness for that. Right. Okay, so your little dangly bits, all your little bits. I'm going to now put some paint on. So I want to put some green into this now. And that will be just around this sort of upper end and then just around here, just to bring this dramatic area back to life in that sense. So I am going to just pop myself over here. And with some paint and my water brush, I'm just going into my green. Now, you haven't got to really worry and go to sort of, it could skip over, you could move it around. And bear in mind, I put that nocturne on, so I know that's not going to shift. But you could just bring it over, just little bits. And then where you see little bits of, where you think to yourself, oh, I might just want to put a little bit of, it looks like there might be a bit of moss there, or, you know, could we put a little bit of a bird's nest there? You know, what could be growing there? You know, because when you start looking at all this, if you looked at this at a picture online as a reference picture, what would you actually be looking at now? You know, what are you pulling out of the picture to sort of say, this is my story, this is my creation? And that's what I'm hoping that you're going to sort of look more at and sort of think, oh, I'll tell you what, I can see that there. I can see a picture there. I can see a fairy there. I can see a flower there. I can say, oh, you know, that flowers can bloom along there. And, oh, look at that there. We can put that against that. You know, and that's how I come up with this, basically. Somebody actually sent me the reference picture that I used, first of all. And then I thought, oh, wow, that's absolutely gorgeous. And that's when I then created that with the bunny sitting on the bridge. So try and use a lot of different colours, different greens. You know, even if you want to sort of pretend there's a few leaves here and there. You know, it hasn't always got to be bare branches hanging around. You could add a little bit of colour in places if you wanted to. It just makes it a little bit more lively. Now I just want to add a little bit of yellow. And that's just to add a little bit of depth in places. And again, I'm just going to dab it on with my finger. And I'm sorry for those of you that my hand keeps getting in the way. I do apologise. But as I say, the best viewing will be here to the left or on YouTube. So let me just pop a little bit of that. And just adding those different colours in will actually give you so much variety in what you're doing, and it just shows a little bit more different depth than what you're actually putting into your work. So I'm hopefully when you're following along at home, you're really having a go at some different sort of things that you maybe take you out your comfort zone a little bit, but maybe they don't, you know, because you might think to yourself, oh, I actually like doing this, you know. So there we go. So we've added that dramatic effect now. Okay, now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start adding them little dangly bits, and then I can start thinking about the cloud, and then we're more or less done, to be fair. So little bits. I am going to get my white, which is the bleed proof white, and I am actually going to just take a blob out the pot and just put it into the lid, and that's going to be plenty. It's probably going to be too much, so I'm just going to squirt a little smidgen of water into that. Right, so what I'm going to do now is, again, like before, I'm just going to put a couple of little dots in places where I might think to myself, let me think about maybe flowers or something. If it's too much, just dab it with your finger, and that will give you another effect, which again, you can then add water on, a layer on, movement. So don't worry, this hasn't got to be exact, because this is just a layer. And I quite like it when you don't know what you're going to end up with, because these layers actually will give you so much impact. It's really cool when you start looking, you think, oh, look at that. Now I'm just going to add again, just some little white bits just around this area here. And I'm actually going to put some here because I'm going to draw on just some grasses and stuff here with a little bit of freehand, why ever not. So I am going to, well, I'm going to use this dark colour here. So I'm just going to bring my palette in just so you can see what I'm doing. So basically I'm just reusing what I used earlier. And here, all I'm going to do is just do little movements up. Now, if you've got a little stamp and you've got something that's going to do some really little tiny hairs and like little, that you think, oh, that's a lovely little leaf, it'll do there. Pop it on, don't be shy. You know, move it around, move it down sort of thing. Have it so it's jaggedy. You're inventing bits as you go. You know, I can quite easily just do little dabs here and there. There you go. And again, same here. You can quite easily just do some little lines here and there. Let me just grab a little bit of water. There we go. So you can quite easily just put in some little tiny lines, which could be grasses, but then again, could it? Is it? What do you reckon? And again, if you don't like it, you just build it up and add a little bit of white, and if you need to, move it around, and then before you know it, you've got a little bit of depth. Again, plants, there could be a little bit of foliage. We can put little different colours on there to make it look like little flowers. So here, we're going to just literally just do a line. And we can just do a little line, and we can do a little wiggly line. And you can do whatever you like. You can stop. You can just do a little bit. You can have it where it's coming down, crossing over. You can have this look as realistic as you like. You can have it sort of where there's a little bit of something here. You can have it thicker. You do whatever you want. This is your creation. Whatever your interpretation will be very interesting. Because however it is, it's your interpretation, and it's not my place to go, well, that's not what I've done. Your interpretation and my interpretation are different. And that's what I love about when we create. Because you'll inspire me to do my next project as I inspire you to do yours. And I don't think you realise that's exactly how artists are. We all inspire each other. So along this top bit now, I'm just going to have a couple of little areas where we'll have a couple of more of these little dangly bits. I mean, if you want it a little bit darker and a bit more dramatic, could even be like stalagmites and stalactites and caves and crystals and magic. Oh, wow, let's do it. Right, okay. I'll just get engrossed. I'll just turn into, like, you know, magical. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to put it a little bit closer to me, and I'm just going to just have a few wispy bits, like where our little pussycat's am. So I'm going to do it so it looks like it's sitting in the grass, or whatever's growing on this log, or whatever it is that you've decided that these little munchkins have decided to have an adventure on. Because it might not be a grass. It could be a concrete block. It could be a tree that's fell down. It could be absolutely anything. It's your creation. I'm just putting it into words that this is just a bit of slate in my interpretation. And I'm just going to put a couple of wild bits of grass just to complement Tracy's lovely fern stamps. There we go. And I'm just going to do a couple more over here. Now, obviously, if we go too much, we spoil it, you know, and I'm sure some of you are probably shouting, no, Lisa, don't put no more on. But, you know, so this is what I'm doing. So I'm now going to add some white on. Now, the white I'm going to add on is just to get that depth and, like, these areas down here. So I just want to give those little bits of light and dark areas now, that if there was like some little flowers and stuff, it'll just pull it out just really nice. So I'm just going to do the same on this side, and on this side it's like more of a sort of a rock, I'm going to bring that down a little bit here. And then here where we've got that sort of area where them ferns are, we could even have like little, these could be little snowdrops for all we know. We don't know what time of year it is because I've not given you any sort of indication. I just told you that there's going to be a storm. So I'm just going to pull along just some little areas here and there. And again, I'm just going to put in just some like little bits of white, which again, I mean, that could actually be little snowdrops. Why not? I mean, if you're really creative, you could put in some lovely bits of purple and put some ferns and stuff in. But again, it's your creative. You go for it. So I'm just going to bring just some wiggles and bits down here, just so it looks like things are catching the sides. And again, we're going to get that other brush, wet it, dry it, pull it off, pull the water off into your hand, and then just move. So it's not too harsh, but it's there so you can see the reflection, or you can just see what you're putting on. Yeah. I'm just going to type that into that. So let me just type that. So if you've got too much white, like obviously there had, all I'm going to do is just move it around, just so it gives it more of a highlight. And then I'm just going to take the dark into that light area. And a little bit of water. And then I'm just going to bring that down a smidgen, just so it looks like that's grounded onto that. There you go, sorted. There we are. There we go. So we've now got, that would look, let's have a look. How are we doing? Yes, we're getting there with that. So let's put some cloud in. Let's get that electric little bit of light going on. Now to put the cloud in, I'm going to use black soot to begin with. Now I have obviously got Versa on this, so I'm just going to be mindful of that as well, but I'm going to try and really load up black soot on the brush. And I am going to, let me just, I'm going to turn it over that way, but I'm just going to do it just while we black this out. So I'm going to bring that in to be quite a dark cloud. The reason why I want this with an oxide is because I want to move it with water. So that's, obviously I can't move VersaFine clay with water because it's permanent, but an oxide I can. So I want to be able to move the cloud now to give that dramatic effect, because these are going to be watching a lightning show now. So I'm just going to bring that down. I'm going to bring just a little bit of something here, yeah, because that's where my main little bit's going to be. Now, I am going to get my pink, and I'm just where we've put that over, I'm just going to blend out into that black soot. So just be mindful of that when you've got that on your brush. And now I'm going to now move this around now. I can move this around. I'm going to move that out the way. Let's put that down. And I'm going to put that here because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to have water on my brush. Now, I want to have a dramatic area where we've got that cloud movement. So for starters, I'm going to start here. Now, there's quite a lot of water on that, which is like oopsie diddly doo-dah, but it's okay. So I'm just going to move it around. Now, I'm just doing wiggles. And that's the only way I can describe this. Me and my wiggles, it's just like one of them. For those of you that know me and sort of have been following me for a long time, you know, I mean, with me wiggle, it's just a wiggle. So I'm going to let that dry. And I just want to pull over just some of this movement now. Now I'm moving that darker oxide and I'm moving it into that pink. But then I'm going to go back and move the dark again. So I want it to give that cloud effect. Now, if you're not getting that cloud effect that you want, you can add a little bit of white if you want to, but then you're going to have to blend it into that darker area, like so. So you put your white on, blend it, move it. Don't allow it to have a harsh line. I'm going to let that move around naturally because there is water down. So I'm going to let that move around. So I'm now going to move it. And you do want that sort of lighter edge in places, because when you've got lightning, the source of lightning will actually pop from an area. And that's going to be our source there. So we're going to have a white sauce there, and I want a white sauce here. Now, it's not like a sauce as in what we got for tea. Can I have a white sauce with my fish, please? It's not one of them sauces. It's the light sauce where the lightning's going to come from, basically. I mean, it could be a fish sauce. Be a very odd one for the lightning, but I'd get it, you know. We can go with that. I like that. We're going to leave it. I'm going to get the dryer on it. So that's going to give a really nice effect there. This we're going to play around with. So I am putting this quite close because I want it to dry quickly. The rest of it's looking fabulous. Okay, let's have a look at that. Now, let's see what you're seeing. Let's have a look. Yeah, we got cloud. Okay, so to be fair, I'm quite happy with that. These lines here, if they're too harsh for you, get yourself a little bit of movement, and if you need to, you can quite easily add just a smidgen of colour to that cloud area if you want to pop a little bit of an additional colour into the cloud, you know, if you want that pop of colour in places, because obviously when there's a storm, there's a lot of different colours that go on depending on what your reference picture is, or depending on what's in your head, you know. I mean, you could quite easily not bother and just leave it as a flat and just do greys and stuff like that, but I think it's nice if you can pull things together. Now here, I'm just gonna play with that little bit there, just because I can. That's it. Okay, there we go, sorted. Now I need to put some little highlights and stuff. Right then, so lightning, you need a damn good white. Now lightning will have a buff, it'll have little strokes coming out, and it'll also have a buff of colour in several places. Now I'm going to take it, my light source is going to be here, and I'm also going to have a light source here, and that's where my lightning is going to start that strike as such. And I've got these two little pussycats watching, so I'm going to try and make sure that you can see everything you can. So apologies if you can't, but I'm hoping that everyone can see everything clearly. So let me just get plenty of white on my little brush, and I want to make sure my brush has got no blobs on, and I'm happy with that. Okay, so this top bit here I really like, so for me that is going to come down, and I'm going to skip in places, and I'm just going to let it come down naturally. So where I've got a blob, I'm going to actually put extra white on, so it actually brings your eye to certain areas. And then here I'm going to take that down, and don't worry if you lose it or you break off, just take it into another lightning bolt. Now when you're doing lightning, also have a look at reference pictures, because there's some really dramatic pictures of lightning, you know. So for me, please pick a reference picture that you're comfortable looking and thinking, I can do that. As long as you've got a fine detail brush and a decent white, it's manageable. It really is. So again, I'm going to just bring this down. I'm going to skip over. I'm going to bring it down. And where you got that blob here, I'm going to bring another little down, and then it across, maybe a little bit that way. There we go. Now obviously we've got cloud down here. I'm not going to bring any lightning down there. However, I do just want to skip through just little sort of breaks here and there, because when you're watching a lightning storm, you have it from so many different places. And I'm just got to be mindful now where I'm putting my arm, that you sort of, you know, I've seen some absolutely amazing lightning shows, you know, not just in the UK when I've been away, and it's just amazing just to watch how it dances across the sky, and it's in different places, in so many different places. So don't be shy to sort of look and think to yourself, wow, you know, I can have a go at that, or take a photo and think, I've got the best reference picture ever, because nobody else will ever have that reference picture. So there you go. Now, if there's anything you don't like, you can quite easily move it with a little bit of water if you need to and blend it out. Now, blending it out will give you that effect when you look, how dramatic that will look. Now, I'm going to put some black on that now to really pop it. But that is your picture, basically. That gives you your dramatic white, your lightning. You've got these two little pussycats. You've got all those lovely things going on with regards to your ferns, your little trees and everything else. And it's so easy just to, I know it took a bit of time, but I hope whoever's following in the background is doing me proud, and I hope you haven't given up yet and walked off. Fingers crossed. Now, last little bits. So as I say, I'm just going to add some more black. Now I am going in with my old Versa, which means that it's not going to be a big blob of colour. However, I think I might have actually, yeah, I might have actually re-inked this one and not realised it, but it's okay. I'll go with it. So already, just adding that bit of black has really dramatically popped the corner. And I'll do the same here. And I don't want to take away too much of what we've just put on, because it's a stunning little scene that we've got there now. But I do want to just bring in the sides. So I'm going to just bring that in here just to give it that little bit. Now, where you've got this wet ink, please, please, please don't forget, if you put your fingers on it, it's going to go everywhere. So I am trying to be mindful now, because I'm usually the one that does it. And I'm going to try and be really good now to stop myself from doing it. Now, if you wanted to, last little effect, and this is only, like I say, this is just a me thing, because I think that looks absolutely fabulous now. You could just put a little bit of white pan pastel as a little bit of misting to add to that dramatic effect that we've got going on now. When I say add a bit, I mean just exactly that. And all I'm going to do is just scoot up just a little bit, just to add a little bit of sort of dramaticness just on these edges here. And it really does sort of change that image a bit. I'm going to leave that bit dark there, and I like the top, but I'm thinking that would be roughly it. And then I'm just going to blend it in, just so it sort of takes away any harsh lines or anything. And then that is it. Apart from matte and layering, which I shall do shortly, that is the card, basically. So let me just tidy up a minute so you can see. Now, apologies if in the group that you were thinking it was just an hour thing. I usually do about an hour, hour and a half. So that's what you've got to come if you're happy to follow me, create, you know, make bits and bobs with me. So that is what we've actually done tonight. So if you're following along, that's what I want you to sort of play around with. You have not got to be exact. You can just play, have fun. Even if you've just learned how to do lightning tonight, fabulous, you know. But make an image up, make a little bridge. It hasn't got to be a straight bridge. It can be an arced bridge. You can put whatever you want. You could put pheasants. You could put flowers. You could put cats. You could put bunnies. You could put hedgehogs. You could put anything you want. So, there we go. I have now completed. Obviously, I'm going to matte and layer. But we've got the plain effects and we've got the lightning. And then we've got the lightning and the plain effects. I've just done a roles reverse on the tags. But again, don't be shy to add paint over your oxides. You know, play around with different colours. If I put that there, for instance, that'll give you an indication of how the card's going to look once I'm matte and layered it. And I think that's quite stunning in itself. And that would make a lovely gift for somebody. Even if it's a card, you know, get well soon, love you, missing you, we always fight, cat and dog, I don't know, anything. But there you go. That's what we've got. So hopefully you've enjoyed how we've put this one together. That was what we've done originally with a little cat. We've just done the two pussycats now, and then we've done the hedgehog, and we've got the little mice on that. So to be fair, that'll be a nice little gift for somebody, where you've got the gift tags and you've got a card or you've got that as the gift, you know, they could put that up, frame it and hang it up. So if you use bluers, again, it's just getting the added detailing. So don't be shy to add your detailing, you know. So sometimes less is more. However, if you wanted to do a powerful image, just have a look. If you haven't got all the stamps and you've only got one stamp, do that, you know. And again, if you've only got one stamp, do that, and then just make a little bit of foliage on. Make the clouds, make it dramatic, you know. So don't be shy. I'm probably just going to play around with this area here just to crisp it up a little bit. But there we go. So I am going to say goodbye to everyone. I'm going to go off on Tracy's first, because obviously you guys are that. So there's your card, folks. Hope you've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being with me this evening. So I'm going to say good night to you guys and thank you. So that's that one done. Live broadcast is now done and dusted. So that's that and done. There we go. And then you guys over here, I'm just going to bring you over because I know you said you weren't too happy with the view. So that's, let me just show you that. So those are the little tags that we've done, which are really cute. And then that was the card, and then I'm just going to put that over. So that's tonight's card with the lightning and the two little kittens watching the lightning show, basically. And that's the original that I started with. So I'm going to say farewell to you guys, and thank you so much for watching this evening. And I shall see you on Sunday. Yes, there we go then. Right then, so that's those guys off, done and dusted. So let me just do that. Click that. Done and dusted. Right, there we go. So you guys are left, as always. Let's bring you down. Hey ho. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Now, let me just, oh crumbs. I keep trying to grab it, but there you go. I like the way the lightning's pulled on that. Looks really cool. So I do want to maybe pull around with this, maybe add a bit of a background here. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe just pull that around a bit. But yeah, that's sort of gives you an idea. That I like the top part of the card. Could even chop that off and maybe just turn it into that. But that gives you, yeah, that looks nice. So this is where I start thinking again, oh, R and all that. But yeah, play around. I can't wait to see what you do. This is just to give you ideas to end up with something like that. Play around. Even if they're just little tags, they're really effective as a little tag. Hedgehogs, mice, cats, little munchkins. World's your oyster. Right, I'm going to go. Have fun. Don't forget, thumbs up, follow, subscribe. Thank you so very much for following me this evening. And I really hope that you have a go. So I shall see you all soon. I'll see you Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. All right. Love you all. Stay safe and get creating. See you later.